Within this video we're going to look at the Datalinx Warehouse Manager for X3 with the specific functionality of carrying out a purchase order receipt. You'll recognise the screen here as being the standard Sage X3 in the background, and the purchasing tab off the navigation screens just on the left hand side. Overlaid on top of this is the emulator of the wireless handheld device, which is the warehouse operator's interface and the device that they would use to carry out the receipt. So clearly, with purchase order receipt in, the operation starts back in the Sage X3 with raising the purchase order. So the first operation I'm going to do is bring up the full screen here, click onto orders, and it's going to ask me in the normal way whether I want a full entry or a standard entry. I'm selecting a full entry, and in the normal way it brings up the order that we were last looking at, and here we can see it's a 2-line order, but what I'm actually going to do is copy and create this. So if I just delete this order here and carry out a creation, if I click create, it's now asking me to confirm the duplicate, which is all standard X3 operation, and it's presented me back the next order number. And for the point of this demonstration, the important thing to keep an eye on is the 0077, as that's the purchase order that we'll be using within the handheld. So I'm now bringing up the handheld to the screen. And as I said, this is the way that the operators in the warehouse would operate. They'd select on their touchscreen device a receipt as it's an inbound process. Here you can see the options on the menu are presented. In this case we're looking at purchase order receipts. I select the menu option, and there's a number of different ways that the operator can select the purchase order. The option I'm actually going to use, just to show a bit more functionality in the handheld, is to select all the purchase orders by the supplier. So I drop into the supplier, and the screen changes to ask me to enter the supplier code. So we know that this is coming from the UK supplies, and it's presented all the outstanding orders to the handheld for that supplier. And here you can see we have POG ending 0077, the purchase order. Now at this point, if I select this, you'll notice that it's still open and being worked on in the background. So if on the handheld I actually open it, it's telling me that that order is actually locked and actually somebody's working on it. So they may want to just go and check what the user's doing before they actually carry out the receipt. And just to show the absolute interaction between the handheld and X3, what I'm actually just going to do is all we do is just close that order, return straight to the handheld. Now I haven't requeried. All I'm now going to do is just reselect that order, and you'll now see it'll allow me into the order because it's no longer being worked on by somebody else in the business. So you remember it was 2 lines, 2 products there, and at this point you may or may not have barcodes on the product. If you haven't got barcodes on the product, then the operator can select off the touch screen and move forward, or they could actually scan the product code as well. If they're scanning the product code, say this was an order with 10 lines on it, they wouldn't have to scan through to find the 10 lines. They could just scan the barcode itself, and that would bring it straight to the screen and move on. In this case, so you can see what's going on, I've selected it and highlighted it and operate the select button. The configuration of the workflow that we have within the system here is asking for the packing slip or GRN reference as part of the inbound process. So that's the first question that's asked. Now that GRN number would only be asked the first time on this receipt. So again, if there were 10 lines there, it would only ask the first time they drop in. All the other lines would be receipted against the same packing slip number because it's a single shipment. So in this case we'll just select a number and enter that in. As this product's highlighted as being lot tracked, the lot number is also being asked to be scanned. That lot number might actually be within the barcode, within a GS1 code, and again we can extract that GS1 lot number out and not have to ask the question. In this case I'm going to scan the code, and here you can see that I've scanned that through, and it's now asking me to confirm the status of the product that I'm bringing in. In this case we can have a number of different statuses for the product. and I'm going to select the Q1 because I want to carry out some quality control on it. Confirm the transaction, and it's now working with the lookup codes and the lookup locations within X3 to advise the best location to place that product. And in this case it believes that it wants it to go into the dock, and it's a suggestion. There are rules around where you can actually place that, but in this case we are going to select that as the location. So the operator would scan the location dock, in this case DOCK, and confirm that that's where they've placed it. They're also asking the quantity that they're booking in at this stage. I'm going to book the whole quantity of 50 in. Here you can see how many are outstanding. I could carry out a partial or a full receipt. On this line I'm going to do a full receipt. It gives a final operation if so desired. Again, this is a configuration to show the operator what they're about to confirm. They've got the option to back up and change any of this data at this moment in time, but in this case I'm going to select confirm, and this is now carrying out all the transaction and the details in. You would have heard the printer run. Here it has actually run a label printer. This label has on it a tracking ID. In this case it is 336 as its final ID that's been created, and as you can see there's other pertinent information about the product there. If I look at what that effect within X3 itself, if I drop to transactions by date, you can see that I have on this top line here a receipt of 50 being booked in. If we scroll along sideways, you can see here it's generated the status that we brought it into. You'll recall that we placed it into dock, DOCK, and you can see that there is the tracking, the license plate number that we've given that delivery, that pallet, and that'll be used to move the product around the bulk areas of the warehouse out to the pick and face. Whilst we are able to actually use the product codes and the quantities, by making use of a license plate it speeds up the whole of the transactions within the warehouse. And then if we move along sideways, you can see it's a supplier receipt. We've picked up the fact that it's a purchase order, the purchase order number that we booked it in against, and all the other pertinent bookings for that transactions. And that's all been done via the web service transaction coming directly off the handheld in real time. And on the right hand side you can see that we've got the time and date stamped for that transaction booked into the system. If I now pop back to the handheld, you will see that it'll now go back to the next line that's being receipted. Because it was only a 2-line, it's gone straight into that and allowing you to book that product in. It's popped up the lot number again that it's asking for, the quality that we're bringing it in at, and for this product you see it's got a different put away set of rules. It's presenting me the location 001 to enter the product into. The quantity in this case is 25 outstanding. I'm going to do a short delivery of 20 here, okay, and confirm that into the system, okay, and that's generated a secondary receipt. So hopefully this video shows you the purchase order receipt process within the Datalinx X3 warehouse management system.